What is up, everybody? Alex from WMD here, back at you again, and this time we're going to do something a little bit different. I've got an interview with William Mathewson, the WM of WMD, and we're going to talk about what goes into live performance for him. So we're going to talk about mostly transitions and what it takes to prepare to do a long, 1 hour set with seamless transitions, so no stopping in between, and what he does to prepare his WMD Metron as well as his Rossum Assimil8or in order to achieve the sound he wants and play for as long as he possibly can. So yeah, it's a great interview. I'm really stoked to share it. Let's just dive into it. So William, thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course.
And so you've done a few performances. I'm really stoked you still have this patch up. We've had you play Patched Out.
Yeah.
We've done a few Freak Boutiques. And every time you play, one of the things a lot of people talk about is your transitioning and seamlessly transitioning from one track to the next, right?
Yeah.
So when in modular, that is a pretty difficult thing to accomplish a lot of times because, you're using one voice if you want to change it, or if you're using a sampler and you want to change those kits, a lot of times when you do those, it's kind of an abrupt thing. And
right. Or you have to stop and then change your settings and go, and nothing wrong with that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, right? So we have people that play and stop in between every song.
Yep.
And that's like an NPC style thing where your drum machine, those things are made to go one song at a time.
Right. You only have so much memory space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Metron, we designed it fully to never stop, right? That was one of the things we always talked about. Whether you're creating in the moment or playing a live show, one of the things we really wanted to focus on was just being able to keep the clock running as much as possible so you don't lose the vibe. And so what I wanted to talk to you about today was a little bit of what goes on when you're preparing for a set, and then some of the transition techniques that you use using the tools in the modular.
Sure. So for preparation, I'm using Metron, 3 Volteras, a simulator, and a mixer.
Okay.
The mixer, I pretty much leave the faders up and move them around just as I'm running a mix.
Like a real mix, yeah.
Like a real mix. I don't do any muting in the mixer. That's the important thing.
Okay.
For Metron, I use the fill effects page a lot to bring channels in and out that I want based on triggering. Everything that I'm running here is triggered from Metron.
Okay.
And then as I'm setting things up, I have an organizational structure that is my sessions in Metron. So from memory here, of all of these that are filled, and they coordinate to different, I don't know if we can see the screen.
Yeah, that's okay.
To different settings in a simulator. So when I'm transitioning, I normally go kind of linear. I'll bounce around in my variations. That's typically one song or one half of a song if it's a lot more structured out and I'd need 2 sessions for it.
Yeah.
But I will basically go up to E, and then at the end of an 8-bar pattern, 16-bar pattern, I will load the next session, and then that'll jump me to A, do a full load, and then between A and B, once I'm on A, I know I'm safe to change a simulator to the next one, so 1-4 if I was going to load this.
Yeah, okay.
Or whatever, yeah.
And then when it comes down to that A section, it is, or the A variation in the next session, you are, it's not necessarily the next song on A, right?
Next song not necessarily on A. It's usually a transitionable outro for the track that I just was playing. And so, not all the instruments change on a simulator, so I can do some sort of transition between A and B sessions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, when you're writing, how do you, and this might be a difficult question, but when you're writing something, do you consciously think, okay, this song's cool, this song's done? Are you writing a set at a time, or are you writing a song at a time and then organizing it in this manner?
I write a set at a time.
Okay.
So I start basically from scratch. I make almost the same patch every time that I set this up, but it's slightly different. But I start from scratch, blank Metron, blank Assimil8or, start with some drums or some sort of bass line type of thing, and then write something and then think, okay, cool, this would be, I could transition out of this, do this. This feels done. I'm gonna go try some other idea out.
Okay.
And then I will move those ideas around sometimes. But I mostly am writing a set at a time.
So you're writing linearly.
I write pretty linearly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to that, for me, it's like, you're writing multiple songs, multiple feelings, but it's a different way of thinking about it than just song 1 done, song 2 was written 3 months ago, and I figure out how to put song 2 in its place.
Yeah.
It is I have a vision for this month's performance or next month's performance or whatever, however long you have.
Yeah.
And you are and then you're writing it like it's just one big long song with lots of different movements.
Basically, yeah. I write it like a full DJ set, and I want to kind of hit a peak at around, like, if it's an hour set, I want to hit kind of a high energy peak at about 45 to 55 minutes, and that's the, like, top end of things, and then kind of bring it down from there.
Okay.
So, yeah, and have, like, a few transitions and, like, higher energy, lower energy sections throughout the set.
Yeah.
So that it's not just, like, banging the entire fucking time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
this
is like an existential question.
Yeah.
How do you manage your vibe when you are working on something and you are working on a high energy track, but you came home from work that day and you want to work on something ambient? Put it somewhere else in the memory,
or I'll just start working on something else. I'll pull up, like, the computer too and pull up Serum and just make, like, sounds so I can sample.
Okay.
Or I'll play with my Xerxes, or I'll just, like, start tinkering, not in the modular, and just try and write something else.
Okay, yeah,
that
totally.
might go somewhere else entirely, and then that's what I mean. I can move stuff around through copying and like, it's a little bit tedious to move stuff around in the computer and, like, do full copy and all that, but, like, I can, if I come up with something, I'm like, this really needs to go here.
Yeah.
Then the other thing I can do is in the memory page, I can go vertical.
Yes,
and
totally.
just add, so, like, I try and go linear across for my main set, but if I have, like, I think this might go really well here, I'll, like, work on a new pattern.
Right, yeah, multiple ideas for the same timeline, or same spot in the timeline.
Yeah, or, like, depending on how I'm feeling, like, here there's, like, this kind of islandy, like, really chill thing, and then I also have a much more high energy, like this 90s dance stuff.
Using the same set.
It's using a different set on Assimil8or, but I can transition in and out of it.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So, lots of time spent prepping, and then, like, the patch is the performance. Yeah. And we've talked about this, you do set it up pretty much the same way every time. So do I. Very similar, right? You have ways, after you've been in modular long enough time and you're doing the groove box thing, you have ways that you like to set things up. So that ends up kind of just being comfortable, and then adding new things as you get the new modules and things. Those kind of, you interject those in the workflow when you have them, and that might be a time to pull the patch, put a new module, make a new set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I probably wouldn't pull the patch if I was going to make a new set. I'd just format the SD cards,
or just go to a new memory page.
Oh yeah, go to
memory
exactly.
C.
That's what I did when I started this one.
That's what I've been doing a lot.
This is old A.
Yeah.
And this was on B.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's do a little bit of let's have an example.
Okay. Sure. So, big transition.
Okay, so we're still in the same song. There's a nice drop into that section of the song.
Yeah, so I have, like, this setup with this pad is the overseer, so I can, and then it also does the return level for my reverb and delay.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So you can get a little bit more washy, and then this is the send level and repeats. And it's distorting a little bit because I haven't set all the levels up exactly.
Yeah,
but
all good.
Yep.
So at that point, those are different ways of creating different energy levels and like giving listeners a break by going to a high pass, adding some delay for making it a little bit more interesting.
Exactly. So here I'm gonna wait. I loaded up 3 on 16 bars. I'm gonna load up this next memory location for my transition. And now I'm safe to move Assimil8or, because I know that I set it up that way.
So now we're on Metron A, but on a new project.
New session.
New session.
Yeah.
Now we're doing the same thing, kind of just high passing.
Yep. And this memory actually has some swing, so I'm getting some weirdness on that delay.
Yep. There's the next song.
Yeah.
So now this is the new vibe. So now we're in this. He safely transitioned into something that was going to introduce new samples, yet keep a few of the old ones around. So when he's on A, that's the transition point. So that's one of the things I wanted to show is like when you start a new session, you start that by using information from the old session.
Exactly.
And then B is the roadmap or the runway to get to the next spot.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And then here I'd screw with a bunch of these settings and make the kick sound different and change the pitch on all this stuff and before it's all the way. Before we're moving on to the full next section if I was actually full playing.
Yeah, and that's something I would do a lot too, right? Like maybe go into this and then turn your high pass on.
Yeah.
And then change some settings in the drums. And then when you bring that high pass back in, it kind of signifies that the part's new because you've got a different set of sounds at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah, this one I like that the hard drop right into it because it has the bass and everything.
But, the bass line really makes it for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're just vibing.
Yep, exactly. So I'm holding on to the reverb and the delay send.
Okay.
And I'll pull over transition. So that's 12. So you like a nice long delay thing.
Yeah, totally.
And then just wrote in some slowness. And then
and then the break comes up. And so the awesome part about that transition is you had 2 different variations that are meant for the transition.
Yeah.
And then B was nice and long, but it has a fill at the end to go into C.
Pull it, right.
So you kind of got to remember at that point.
As long as you remember to cue up C or to make sure you're muted.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we practice.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I did, before playing Black Box, did probably 25, 30 run-throughs of the entire set.
Right.
Figure out what I was doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then I'm sure there was some unexpected flubs that you have to run with too.
Always.
Yep.
Always. So I'll transition out of this one too.
Okay, we'll do one more. Oh yeah. And that one is a little bit harder as far as changing sounds.
Yeah,
everything still has that cohesiveness to it.
Exactly. There's that guitar hit at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a little low energy section.
Oh, right into a new sound. Yeah, awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, so sick. So a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing is, you know, the preparation is key. Not being afraid of long transitions.
No, for sure.
You know, embracing that, and then using Metron for its strength of long variations, right? So most of your, like, when I was looking at it, it seems like most of your party sections, your groove sections, are 4 bars to 8 bars, but your transitions are at least 8 bars.
Yeah.
And you make those a little bit longer, and like you said, you either have to mute something if you want to keep looping that transition section, but it's got stuff to lead you into the next one.
Exactly.
And I think that has a lot to do with preparing the set all at once rather than just, working on this at a song at a time.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about writing linearly too, is like I like this vibe. I can either jam on something for a really long time, which is how I practice. But then when it comes time to actually go from song to song and play through a set, there's some jamming. I just kind of skipped over that today just from time.
Yeah, of course.
But like to cycle each like jammable variation a little bit, and then move from variation to variation, then back, then do the transition.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long would you say you prefer to set up for a set? Like when I tell you I want to book you, how long would you like?
For an hour-long set?
For an hour-long set.
This was probably 7 weeks of prep.
Okay. Yeah.
Like 6 to 10 hours a day.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, not every day, of course.
But
like,
when the jam sessions happen,
yeah.
they're long jam sessions.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
It's like I don't do anything else other than stand in front of the modular. Yeah.
Totally. So now let's just talk about the patch a little bit. I'm curious about, we've done some videos with you before about how you're setting your patch up, but I just want to go through and just talk about the modules. We talked a lot about Metron and Assimil8or.
Sure.
And we've obviously got the WMD drums in there. We talked about that. I'm curious about your synth voices and stuff. Are those mostly coming out of the Assimil8or, or do you have some synth voices in the rig as well?
No. So Assimil8or, I have a few synth voices, things I've sampled either from the rig and wanted to remain constant because I got a really good timbre that I liked, or sampled like anything multi-timbral or polyphonic.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
Anything polyphonic is sampled either from Xerxes or from Serum.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's all those things are on channels 1 and 2 in stereo.
Yeah.
And then the other voices, I have one channel that is going to be breakbeats. It's a mono. One channel that's dedicated to like any sort of voice stuff.
Yep.
And then like one that's like a low sub bass that's just real easy to hit that I don't want to dedicate an entire bunch of modules to.
Yep.
For like offbeat bass. And then 2 other auxiliary like synth things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it changes from patch to patch or from like song to song what each of those voices is actually doing.
Right.
And I'll load different stuff into them, but I try and keep the same like function for the set of channels.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally. And then you've got Synchronine here, and you've got another bass voice over there. So are you running bass voice, like an analog bass voice a lot too? Or?
Yeah, it says analog bass and lead voice is kind of my main primary voice.
Okay.
Oscillator with a prototype wave folder.
Yep.
Going through carbon filter, 2 envelopes, one for VCA duties, one for filter duties, and then that all runs through Scalpel, so I can do timbral changes and like fit it in where I want at different times throughout the set. I didn't play with any of that today. But, and then, that's kind of my main, like, really fun, functional, programmable, screw-withable voice.
Yeah, okay, great.
That all, like, and I have pads going to, like, the decay time. Yeah. So I can just increase it for transitions or, like, however I want to play.
Okay.
And I jam carbon a lot.
Yeah, totally.
And envelopes. Yeah.
And then, what were you doing with the Geiger counter over there?
So the Geiger counter is connected to the mixer's Q output. Feeds the Geiger counter directly.
Okay.
So when I enable different channels, it's for transition duty or for like just nice sound duty.
Yeah.
I have some like when I love running chords, big chords through with just a little bit of sample rate reduction.
Totally.
Or running my bass voice through and then whipping access back and forth.
Okay.
Which goes from the main mix on this side to just the Geiger counter on this side.
Yeah, totally.
And so you can do some, and then that bypasses overseer, so you can do some like glassy over the top chord stuff while you fade overseer out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's a really useful tool, and then pick whatever channel you want just based on the cue, because I'm not using the cue mix live because I'm not patching.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And are you using every channel on the performance mixer and the expander?
Every channel. Yep. I have reverb and delay returns here.
Okay, cool.
Breakbeats and something else. I don't even remember here. Some other voice. Bass voice and something else here. Main Assimil8or channel is on this one. And then like most things are doubled up. I'm really using like 14 channels.
Yeah.
Because there's multiple things that are different.
That was my
coming
next
in.
question, yeah.
Yeah. So like I have Crucible and this like secondary bass voice that's on a zone thing on here that's like a bunch of different like random kind of hits and tried to do some like Medeion style like super choppy stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
cool. Well, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for doing this.
Yeah, really cool to have some insight into what goes into prepping a set for you. And I hope it gives you all some ideas on how to build up your own sets. And just get out there and get playing. As always, please like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Later.